Happy Gay Pride. My coming out story, well, I remember talking to my mother on the phone, and I was saying things like, I really don't think I will ever get married, and I really don't think I will ever find a girl that I'm compatible with or suited with. But I was dropping pretty heavy hints that I was gay, and enough that she thought about our conversation all night. The next day, she called me and she said, "Now, Johnny, now don't get mad. Don't get upset. Now, if I'm wrong, just say I'm wrong. Don't get mad. But I just think that maybe, are you trying to tell me that you're gay?" Oh my God, what a relief it was. I said, yes, yes. That's what I was driving at. You picked up on it just right. And anyway, she was totally okay with it. Well, my father still didn't know. When I graduated from college, art school, art college, anyway, I graduated and they all came out to the Bay Area. I was living in San Francisco by that point, though my college was in Oakland. Now, I had a partner at the time. His name was John Graff, and we were having a long distance relationship. He lived in Rhode Island, and he was going back and forth every 3 months, 3 months in Rhode Island, 3 months in San Francisco, back and forth. And then we finally got an apartment. He was still going back and forth though, but we had an apartment that we shared together in San Francisco. And so my parents and my whole family came over and saw this apartment. There was, only one bedroom and only one bed. And my father was asking all these questions to my mother. He said, something's weird. What's with his roommate? Where is his roommate? And why is there only one bed in there? And he just kept going on and on and on and on. And then my mother finally just said, she blurted it out. She said, "Well, Tom, he's gay." And he was like, "What?" And this was on their last day before leaving. And when we all met for our final meal and saying goodbye to everybody, my dad was just gone. He had just left. Now he was on a walk. He didn't leave town, but no one knew where he was. And everyone was like, it's not like him to just leave like that. And he came back and acted like nothing was wrong. She had just told him then while they were out there that I was gay, and he had to go and take a walk and process it and pretend. And then later my mother told me that she told him that I was gay. I was a little bit mad because I wanted to be the one to tell him. But she told him. That's just how it happened. That was kind of that, except finally I had to acknowledge to him that I was gay and that he knew it. And what I do remember is that we had a talk in the bedroom, and we were talking about the fact that I was gay. And I remember he said things like he thought that I acted faggy on purpose, specifically to annoy him. And I was like, well, I'm not trying to act faggy as you would have it. And it's certainly not on purpose, and certainly not to annoy you. I'm just who I am. And he said, no, you're doing it on purpose. And that was one thing that I had a big problem with in my whole life, was him telling me what I thought. And to a large degree, that's why I became very private and did not reveal very much information about myself, because of him trying to tell me what I did and did not think. Now, he could tell me what I could and could not do. He was a disciplinarian. He was an authoritarian. He was like, his word was law. If he said it, that was the end. So he could make me do anything, but he couldn't control what I thought, and he tried to. And he would try to tell me. I remembered this one time I had a dream where I was naked, and you've probably had them. And I remember telling him about the dream, and I said, sometimes I really just wish I could just go out naked. And he said, no, you don't. I said, no, I wouldn't really do it. But inside, I just wish that I could. And he said, no, you don't. And I said, well, yeah, I do. And he said, no, you don't. And that was like, I think that was the time I was like, wait, I'm telling you what I think inside my head, and you're telling me that I don't think that. And that was when I really started shutting down, and not just with him, but it was like, you can't tell me what I think. And to preserve my own sanity, I stopped to a large degree revealing anything about myself. It was a really bad habit. I still, to this day, have trouble getting over it. Ironically, I can do these videos where I publicly say very private things about myself, but in person, I still like, it's very hard to get me to reveal things about myself. To open up to any degree can be difficult, person to person. Give me a camera and tell me that the million people are going to see it. Sure, I'll tell you anything, ironically. So, getting back to that night in my parents' bedroom, we were having that confrontation. And I remember at one point, my mother, she could hear us arguing and she didn't know what to do. And she tried to save me. So she opened the bedroom door and she just came in looking around like not sure what to do. And my father said, what do you want? And she said, nothing. And he said, get out. She closed the door and we continued our conversation. Well, nothing came of that. Nothing good came of that. It was just, I don't remember how it ended. It wasn't until later that I really came out and I said, and I stood my ground and I was like, no, I'm gay, and if you don't like it, it's your problem. I am who I am. And, that's kind of how you have to be. You have to be yourself. You have to be okay with yourself. For a lot of people, that's the hard part, is not letting other people know that you're gay, but accepting yourself. And it can be really hard, especially if you live in a world where everyone is telling you that it's wrong. But it's not wrong. You're who you are. We are who we are. It's true. If you believe in God, then yes, God made us this way. We're not going against God's will. We're living his will. It doesn't matter whether you bring God into the equation or not. We are who we are. You are who you are. And it is not wrong to be gay. Happy Pride Month.